pleasant day to each and everyone. I am Jonamay Dahoya Manggilimutan. My task for today's report is to discuss to you the Bill of Rights for Agricultural Labor. In Section 39, which is right for agricultural labor, naday 7 rights and opportunities ang mga farmer which is ilahang ma-enjoy as a industrial worker. So first is right to self-organization. Second is right to enhance in concerted activities. Next is right to minimum wage. Right to work for not more than 8 hours. Right to claim for damages for death or injury sustained while work. Right to comprehension for personal injuries, death, or illness. And the last is right against suspension or day-off. In Section 40, which is right to self-organization, the farm workers shall have the right to self-organization and to form, join, or assist farm workers' organization of their own choosing for the purpose of collective bargaining through representatives of their own choosing. Kumbaga, ang mga farmers daw is na sila'y right nga kaning mag-create og organization about sa mga farmers. Dinapot sila kaning right nga kaning mupili or kinsa ang hilahang himuong leaders sa kaning maong organization. Provided that this right shall be exercised in a manner of as well not unduly interfere with the normal farm operations. Individuals employed as supervisors shall not be eligible for membership in a farm workers organization under their supervision but may form separate organization of their own. The next section is Section 41, which is rights to enhance in concerted activities, in which the farmers shall also have the right to engage in concerted activities for the purpose of collective bargaining and other mutual aid or protection. So, naagay kaning mga rights ang mga farmers nga kaning mo attend sa mga activities about sa ilahang organization. For the purpose of this and presiding section, it shall be the duty of the farm employer or manager to allow the farm workers, labor leaders, organizers, advisors, and the helpers complete freedom to enter and leave the farm, plantation, or compound at the portion of the same where say the farmers live or stay permanently or temporary. Next is Section 42, which is right to enhance minimum wage. Notwithstanding any provision of law or contract to the contrary, farm workers, farm enterprises shall be end, provided that this wage may, however, be increased by the minimum wage board as provided for the Republic Act number 602. In Section 43, which is right to 8 hours work, farm workers in a farm enterprises shall be entitled to at least 3.50 pesos a day for 8 hours provided. Work may be performed beyond 8 hours a day in case of actual or impending emergencies caused by serious accidents, fire, flood, typhoon, epidemic, or other disaster or calamity, or in case of urgent work to be performed on farms, machines, equipment, or installations in order to avoid. In Section 44, which is right for action for damages, and act to extend and regulate the responsibility of employers or personal injuries and deaths sustained by their employees while at work, shall apply to the farm workers in so far as may be applicable. So in case of naay emergency or naay mga hitabo sa mga farmers or sa mga workers, so nakabutang sa Section 44 nga naa sila kaning right and action for kaning damages. Next is in Section 45, which is right to compensation for personal injuries, death, or illness. An act prescribing the compensation to be received by employees for personal injuries, death, or illness contracted in the performance of their duties shall apply to farm workers so far as it may be applicable. In Section 46, right against suspension of day-off, it states that no farm workers can be suspended or dismissed without due process and session. So, President Marcos declared martial law in the Philippines year 1972, citing widespread discontent and unrest, particularly among farmers. So, Presidential Decree number 27, this decree aimed to address the land reform issue by distributing tenant private agriculture land used for rice and corn production to the tenants. So, land ownership limits, landowners were restricted to a maximum of 7 hectares while tenants could acquire up to 5 hectares. Payment terms is tenants were to pay for the land through amortization over 15 years. Excerpt from the Republic Act No. 6657 or Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law of 1988, a key policy of Corazon C. Aquino Administration 1986 to 1982 in its drive towards economic industrialization. CARP recognized and expanded the power of operations of the Department of Agrarian Reform. The DAR was the Facilitated Land Tenure Improvement Program, which aimed to hasten land distribution to tenants. Next, in Section 1, the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law 1988. In Section 2, the Declaration of the Principle of Policies. Section 4, which is Scope. The Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law of 1989 shall cover, regardless of tenurial arrangement and commodity produce, all public and private agricultural lands as provided in the Proclamation number 131 and Executive number 229, including other lands of the public domain suitable for agriculture. So Section 4 have 4 scope, which is all alienable and disposable lands of the public, all lands of public domain, excess of the specific limits as determined by the Congress in the preceding paragraph. C. All other lands owned by the government devoted to or suitable for agriculture. And the last, all private lands devoted to or suitable for agriculture regardless of the agriculture products raised or that can be raised thereon. In Section 5, the Schedule of Implementation. This distribution of all lands covered by this Act shall be implemented immediately and complemented within 10 years from effectively. And Section 6, Retention Limits. No person may own, retain directly or indirectly. And Section 7, Priorities. So, Section 7 have 3 P's, which is, the first is rice and corn lands under Presidential Decree number 27, all idle or abandoned lands, all private lands, voluntary offered by the owners or agrarian reform. So, all alienable and disposable public agriculture lands under agroforest, pasture, and agricultural leases already cultivated and planted to the scope in the accomodance with Section 6. In Phase 3, all other private agricultural lands connecting with large land holdings and proceeding to medium and small land holdings under the following schedule. In Section 8, the multinational corporations. This section, it means all lands of the public domain leased, held, or possessed by multinational corporation or associations. In Section 9, ancestral lands, in which its indigenous cultural community shall include, but not be limited to, lands in the actual, continuous, and open possession and occupation of the community and its members. And Section 11, commercial farming, in which private agriculture lands devoted to commercial livestock. For the summary of my report, during the pre-colonial times, land was commonly owned by the people of the barangay. It was the Spaniards who introduced the concept of private property, which eventually led to the rise of landholding class of Spaniards and Filipinos, who employed farmers as tenants in their large haciendas. Under the Americans, the landed elite occupied government position and successfully resisted attempts of agrarian reform. Dire poverty and hacendero maltreatment are some of the causes of violent mass rebellions of peasants and farmers in the Philippine history. Agrarian reform the breaking up of the haciendas and distribution of lands of tenants was envisioned by Pastor Philippine President to celebrate the tenant farmers from their miserable conditions. The main attempts to achieve agrarian reform were President Macapagal Agricultural Land Reform Code in 1963, President Marcos Presidential Decree No. 27 in 1972, and President Aquino's Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program in 1987.
And that was the end of my report, hoping that you coop up some knowledge. Again, I am Jonamay Dahuya Manggilimutan.